Welcome, everyone, to Debatable Delaney, the show where we debate on feeling, not fact. My name's Delaney, and my mission is to destigmatize debating and bring laughter back to the art of debate. I'm a girl that likes to be right, so I'm here to give you the tools to lie, manipulate, gaslight, and confuse in order to win your arguments. I'm also here to show you you do not need research in order to win your debate. Today, I'm joined by my friend Chris as we debate the top 5 best excuses to get out of plans. I mean, that's debatable. Now that's debatable. Welcome back, Chris.
Glad to be back. Thank you for having me again. Surprised I survived.
You are back for, I would argue, one of the most important episodes we will ever be doing on this podcast.
But no pressure.
No pressure. This is extremely relatable. Everyone is constantly trying to think of excuses to get out of plans. It has never been more important to have a good set of excuses on you at all times. There's no better feeling than canceling plans. And I think millennials are so anti-commitment that this has become a tool that is extremely necessary.
I think so.
Okay, cool. So, of course, you're my guest, so you can kick us off with your number one pick.
So, like I did before, I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit and just get it out of the way.
Okay.
And my one of one is COVID.
Yeah.
You have COVID. Actually, it's better when you say, oh, my roommate or someone I know had COVID.
Exposure is better.
Yeah. And you just, that is, if you're seeing family, if you're seeing someone who you really don't want to see, it's either I'm going to kill you or you don't see me. And it's a pretty good excuse.
COVID is an amazing excuse, whether it be you got exposed or you think you have it. It's undefeated. If you say you have COVID, no one's going to push you to come. I really think that COVID was just sent to us from God as like, you guys are so anti-commitment. I'm going to gift you with this perfect excuse that people won't be able to question.
So I want to know how far you would go with COVID.
Okay.
And my question is, do you pocket tests? And what I mean by that is, do you have one false or one negative test and one positive test that you just keep in your pocket just in case you want to do something or don't want to do something?
That's a great question. I probably should. I think that in like year 1 of COVID, even year 2 of COVID, I think that was more necessary. It's getting so lax now that COVID is starting to work less as an excuse.
It is.
Even if someone says, when people used to say they were exposed, I'd be like, please do not come near me. But now if someone says they have COVID, people are like, oh, that's fine. Just like, don't make out with me. Like, people have gotten way too laxed about it.
And even still, some people do that.
Yeah.
They'll just pucker up and see where the wind takes them.
Yeah. So I would say that COVID has gotten to be a better and worse excuse. It's better because you no longer have the 14-day quarantine to worry about. So you can lie about COVID and then still go out in 2 days.
Or the next day or that night.
Yeah. But it's worse in the sense of like you could use COVID and someone could be like, oh, I don't care. You can still come. Especially if you use exposure. People are going to be like, we don't care.
That is true. That is true. You could try to be a good Samaritan and be like, I don't want to do that to you. But
yeah,
it is wearing, the charm is wearing off.
In the prime of COVID, it was the perfect excuse because people would put it in your court. They'd be like, I just wanted to give you all the information. I was exposed, but I want you to make the decision.
Yes.
So it wasn't you canceling the plans. It was like, I'm forcing you to tell me I can't come. So I think that COVID's a good, it was the obvious 1-1. That was also going to be my 1-1. So I can't blame you for that. But I would argue that like that is kind of going out of style. And next year I'm projecting it maybe not even cracking the top 5.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking for longevity with my picks. Your old classics. So I'm going to go with, okay, this is actually not like a classic one.
Okay.
It probably wasn't even on your list, but I think it's the perfect excuse. And it is, I need to watch my dog.
Oh, that's actually a good one. It's not on my list. I have a variation of it, but that's pretty original. I'll give you that.
Having a pet is the best way to get out of plans.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a kid, but you don't have to be there all the time. You can pick and choose your battles. So like, I don't want to go to dinner tonight with this person. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I've been at work all day. I really need to be at home with Hunter. But then if I have a dinner that I want to go to, like, I don't need to be there with him. It's so easy. There's no karmic retribution. There's total believability. It's the perfect excuse.
So can I one-up you? I won't count it as my second round pick, but parents' dog. Because if you don't have a dog, you can get called out on that pretty quickly.
Well, you have to have a pet, obviously.
Yeah,
you can't
but
make up a dog.
For all of us who don't have dogs or pets, like you're not going to go home to say, I need to watch my cat. No one knows if your parents have a dog or not.
Oh, totally.
So you can just, if for all of you who are listening who don't have a dog at home, parents' dog.
You just totally make up any dog.
Or your dog sitting.
You're dog sitting, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're using this excuse, it's best for like a party setting or a setting where you're hanging out with more than one person. You can't really use it in a one-on-one situation because you have to be prepared for that person to say, oh, perfect, I'll just come over to you.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad date, bad first date, but.
Bad first date. But yeah, I think it's undefeated and you will feel good about yourself because you didn't tell that big of a lie.
Unless if you don't have a dog.
Unless you don't have a dog. And that's on you.
It's a white lie we're all willing to share.
Totally. There's literally no downside.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. I don't like it just because I don't like it when you involve other people.
You think involving your dog is involving other people?
It's one step a little bit too far, I feel like.
Oh, I'm intrigued to hear the rest of your list that you're not going to include any other people. You've just dug yourself an interesting hole.
I did a little bit, but I want to challenge myself because I'm going down to like number 4 on my list now.
Okay.
And this is going all the way back to probably like middle school.
Okay.
And it's more of just like, so I'm going to tell a story.
Okay.
Before and I'll kind of, the punchline of this is probably going to be the actual pick. But I had a friend who got in trouble by a teacher in middle school. It was probably like, I guess it was more elementary, like 3rd, 4th grade.
Okay.
And it was a kid who just never got in trouble. And it was like in the middle of the hallway. He just didn't know what to do. And in that moment of panic, he just looks left, looks right, and pulls the fire alarm.
Love that.
And I thought that man, ever since, was the biggest genius I ever met. Because not only did he get out of whatever the hell he did, the whole school got out of whatever other issues that they were in, and we all had to do a fire drill.
Love that.
Smartest man alive.
Love that. So in terms of how that can work for grown-ups, paint me a picture.
You are in a Whole Foods, and you are now trapped inside Whole Foods because someone pulled the fire alarm. And now you're late, and now you can't do whatever you
if you ever want to get out of plans, you just pull the fire alarm in whatever location you're at. And then you say, oh, I'm so sorry. There's a fire?
Yeah. Break glass in case of emergency.
You're not locked in a building when the fire alarm goes off.
How do they know? What if
basic intelligence?
What if it could be so late, like, oh God, there's a fire in my building, or I'm part of a fire drill and I can't leave. Depends, like totally fair game.
I'm part of a fire drill. Have you been a part of an adult fire drill where you had to stay outside?
I have, in an earthquake drill, and it's the stupidest thing ever, but it does happen.
What do you mean? They can't just like demand attendance?
I was like in a building where they required that everyone left and walked down the stairs.
But then you could have just left.
I could have left, but
it's not like it's
that's not part of the story. That's fair.
Honestly, if someone pulled a fire alarm, you're more likely to have to go to the plans because you have nowhere else to go. It's not like you're going to be like, oh, I just feel like I should really stick around outside my apartment complex.
What if you don't know it's an actual fire or not?
I guess. You would know pretty soon after the fire trucks showed up, which usually takes about 15 minutes.
That's a long time. That's enough to derail like a first date. That's enough to derail like if you're going to a sporting event. I guess saying.
Dates, you can be really lax.
Yeah. Panic causes men and in some cases women to do crazy things.
Wow.
And if you
that was an interesting little Let's dive into what you think the differences between men and women are.
I feel like women are a lot more stoic in how they approach like a crossroads versus men just either try to power through it, and that power sometimes is pulling the nearest alarm next to them.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, then I'll go with a similar idea on my second pick. I'm going to go with forgetting the date. So let's say there's a party tomorrow that I don't want to go to.
Yep.
Then tomorrow I'm going to be radio silent to all of the guests. And then the day after, I'm going to text the host, can't wait for tonight. Can I bring anything? In which they'll respond, it was yesterday. And I'm like, oh my God, I had the wrong date in my calendar.
I have so many questions. How big is the group chat? When were you added? Is it a Facebook? If it's a Facebook invite or something like that, I get it.
I'm thinking Facebook invite or email invite. Like it's on your calendar.
Okay. And it's like a big party?
It doesn't have to be. It has to be probably minimum of 8 people for this tour.
I thought you were going to say 15, but here we are. Now I know I need to make every single one of my parties 7 people, but that's beyond the point.
I've never done this.
Oh, okay.
The way that I came up with it is because it has happened to me where I put in the wrong date, and then I just ended up missing the thing. And it was the kind of the perfect excuse where it was like, oh, shoot, I didn't mean to, but this is a foolproof way. I'll debate myself for a second. The only thing that could derail this plan is if they text you like, so excited for tonight.
Yeah. And what do you say?
Well, for that, you can just say, tonight, I know about your party tomorrow. What's going on tonight? And they'll be like, what? The party's tonight. And I'm like, oh my God, I put it wrong in my calendar and I actually already have plans tonight. Shoot. So my number 2 pick is really a scheduling error.
Yeah. My secretary calendared it wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
My secretary's always getting my calendar wrong.
Damn it, Betsy.
I outsource my scheduling. Yeah. You can say you don't like it, but it passes your test of it doesn't include anyone else.
Yes.
And it has no karmic retribution.
Okay. So also, can I just explain myself for the not involving anyone else?
I would
for a
love
second?
for you to.
Because if you've ever been involved in telling a white lie, which I would hope every single person in America and the world has done.
I've never.
Okay. See, there it is. There always becomes a point where someone else questions it or someone else has to attest to what you just said. And that's a scary place to be. Yeah. That's a very scary place to be. So for all you white lie tellers out there, don't involve anyone else. Yeah. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
You want your white lie to have as little follow-up as possible. Yeah. Because if you do anything that involves someone being sick or any sort of emergency, I'm going to be following up on it. I'm not going to be like quizzing you, but I'm going to be like, oh my God, how is this person? Like, I'm so sorry. And the guilt will hopefully eat at you a bit.
Yeah. And for all the high school listeners out there, I'm going to visit insert friend's name here at their house. When you don't do that, that shit never works. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. It works like a few times, but then you get caught and you can never use it again.
It used to work better without social media.
Yeah, back in my day. But
social media makes it so hard. Yeah. And forget about it with this location sharing.
You also just don't have to do that, but
that's why dog is the perfect excuse, because you just stay home.
Yeah. And my dog's allergic to people too.
And that's why the scheduling excuse works perfectly, because then you can literally do anything you want that night because you didn't think that you had plans.
Actually, I do like that. So for my third pick of best excuses, it kind of ties in with that. And it's the honest answer, which is, I have better plans. What? And it's brutal honesty. But if you were to...
that's not even an excuse.
No, it's not. But I think if you had it only works when you actually have this, but I think in some cases, if you had like a once in a lifetime or like a really, really cool opportunity and you were like, hey, that sounds fun, but not as fun as this.
Totally.
That's like, you don't have any friends if all your friends would be like, oh no, why aren't you coming to my thing?
Well, totally. That's, first of all, I don't even know if that should count as a pick because that's not an excuse. Yours has to be like to say that you have another plan even if you don't. Like, what if I have a dinner scheduled with you, but I'm just like, I really want to stay home and watch TV. Then I would lie and be like, hey, I'm so sorry, Chris. Like, I actually just, this guy just asked me out that I'm really interested in, so I'm going to do that instead.
Okay. Fake date?
Fake date.
But then you're involving someone else.
But I'm involving a fake person. And then I can just be like, the date didn't go well. Never going to see him again. How would you check in on that?
That's actually a good one. I wish I picked that. That's actually a really good.
For my third pick, I'll go with the one I use the most.
Okay.
This is 10 out of 10. I pretty much use it every time. I don't use it with really good friends, but I'll use it with like a new friend or acquaintance or date.
When they're susceptible and easy to manipulate.
A family member's birthday. It's 10 out of 10. I honestly use it so much. And I don't say like sister or parent. I keep it vague because it could be like an aunt.
Yeah.
And specifically, like, I also use my parents' birthdays as an excuse a lot, even if I'm not even in the same city as them. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm celebrating my mom's birthday.
How far out do you reschedule that? Right, like
Very much depends on the circumstance. So if like I'm just had a really long week and I'm trying to get out of the plan, but I actually have an interest in hanging out with this person, then I'll try to set a date. I'll be like, I'm so sorry, it's my sister's birthday, but I'd love to see you later this week. Like, does Thursday work? If it's someone I'm not interested in hanging out with ever, then I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's my sister's birthday. Let's try to reschedule for some time in the next couple weeks. And then when they try to make a plan, like I can just continuously be busy.
Oh, my dog died. Oh, I pulled a fire alarm.
I'm so sorry, I can't. My fire alarm just went off. No, then you can be like, I'm just really busy with work.
Yeah.
That was another one of my picks, but I won't choose it because I'll spoil it right now.
Okay.
Is like a pretty good excuse is just keep pushing things off until it's eventually a ghosting. Just like a soft ghosting.
Yeah.
A fizzle, if you will. Just try to make a natural fizzle.
Yeah. I like that. I like that approach.
Yeah.
So for my fourth pick, this is one that I don't think many people have done, but weirdly it works really well. So it's and I put fire alarm as my second overall pick, but this one actually works. So if you're listening this late in the pod, you're about to get your money's worth right here.
Oh, I'm excited.
Is saying your flight's delayed.
Oh, yeah.
And that you can't make it.
Totally.
And what you have to do specifically is you look on like a flight tracking app and you find a flight that is delayed to the time when you're sending that text or like going to land, an hour later. And you create the whole story of, oh, I was in this city for something. And you have the perfect, like, read the receipts moment.
Totally.
Like, oh, I'm on Delta flight 284.
Well, that's a bit extreme. I would be like really questionable if someone was like, hey, Delaney, I'm so sorry I can't make it. I'm on United flight UA 551 and it's delayed 35 minutes, so I won't be able to make it. Like, just tell me it's delayed. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you have a psycho person, they might look it up.
That's what I'm prepping for.
Yeah.
That's entirely what I'm prepping for.
Yeah.
So
I like to use that excuse, but I don't get so specific with the flight. I just say like, oh, I'm so sorry. My trip actually got extended, so I'm not going to be back till Friday now. It's easier to lie. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Amen.
My number 4 best excuse to get out of plans is another one that I feel like gets used a lot. And it's asking a bunch of questions about the plans in order to put the ball in their court to want to reschedule.
That's actually really good.
It is good. So you're supposed to go to... Let's say you're supposed to go to the 49ers game.
Nice.
Then you start hinting at you're less interested in going by saying like, oh, I just looked at the prices, like $300. That seems steep. And let's say you've already committed to going to the game. So you start off with the pricing, being like, that's crazy. Then you hit them with, oh my God, I just looked at like the typical traffic to get to 49ers games, and it usually takes like 3 hours. And then the parking's like $100. Like, are we sure? Like, I'm totally on board. But like, I just wanted to check in with you guys.
So my only counter to that is that you're just not fun. Like, there's certain things that if you push that far and be like, hey, this seems like a lot. And then you just come up with things out of the blue.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm never going to invite Delaney to any of this shit ever again.
Totally. But in my experience, people join in. Like if I were to say like, yeah, the price is pretty expensive, then someone else is going to be like, oh my God, yeah. And I actually was just looking at the parking. Because like a lot of people want to get out of plans. So they just kind of echo off each other. A lot of this is based on social capital. Like I do have some friends that use excuses a lot. And it is like very much boy who cried wolf energy.
Yep.
And if my friends use excuses, I do feel like I have the right to roast them.
For sure.
I'm not super offended unless they blatantly lie.
Yes.
Most white lies are just exaggerating.
Yeah, and those are fair. I would also say like moment of being real for a second.
Yeah,
is just say yes to like whatever plans you get offered if you can do it, and it's like probably gonna be kind of fun.
I completely agree. I really do try to say yes. Let me just say that I think that I mostly use excuses to get out of dates.
Yeah.
I don't really like lie to my friends, contrary to what I'm making it seem like right now. But with dates, like I just get so much anxiety that I'm just like, I feel like I need to create an excuse at the 11th hour to get out of it.
Yeah. Well, especially when it's like, you know, you're texting or like, you know, on Bumble or whatever, and you're like, oh, this is going really well. And it's a Monday. And then you're like, okay, we're going to do a date like Thursday or like later on. And then that day comes around and you're like going back to the pictures and you're like,
totally.
And like the messages that you're sending, you're like, what was I thinking? And like, It's not like you're drunk or anything like that. It's like, there was just this moment of love that passed and you're going to go your own separate ways.
Totally.
Yeah. So.
And with first dates, there's also this thing of like, you have to confirm that you're going on the date like 12 times.
Yes. Which
makes it really easy to get out of it because they're like, they've already asked you out and you've said yes. And then that morning they're like, just confirming that we're on for 5 o'clock for drinks. And it's like, yeah. And then like an hour before they're like, okay, perfect. Like leaving in 30. And it's like, oh shoot, I totally forgot I have my dog tonight. Like it's just too easy. People make it too easy. You used to be able to like make plans with someone and then they would just expect you to be there.
Yeah.
Now when you make plans with someone, you have to follow up like 15 times before just to confirm they're still coming.
And it's so stupid because you literally have every possible way of communicating with anyone that you want. Like if you were to ghost someone at a diner in the 1950s, they would literally have to get on a rotary phone and try to remember what your home phone number was.
Totally.
And just hope you're standing at your kitchen like, oh, I forgot I had a date. And then you would take your horse over to the diner. And
if they didn't answer, if they didn't ever tell you that they couldn't come, you would literally assume they died.
Yeah. And you would leave like a very sad voicemail.
They would be a literal ghost.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is crazy. Like millennials, we need to grow up. Like when you make a plan with someone, put it on your calendar and go. It doesn't need to be this dramatic thing of like, oh, let's get drinks Friday. And then I have to text you every day to confirm the drinks. Yes. And then I have to text you 15 minutes before you leave. It's like, it's too much, you guys.
Way too much.
Grow up. Have a calendar.
Yeah. Be an adult, especially you Gen Z.
Especially you Gen Z. I want to be able to text someone once and say, I'm having a dinner party next Saturday. I would love to have you there. And I want them to say, I would love to. I'd be honored. And then I want to not have a single other text about it. Never a group text, never any confirmation. I just want to be able to trust they will be there.
I like this. And they show up.
Yeah.
And they just show up. And you're like, oh, great to see you.
Totally. Okay.
Fifth pick.
So this is to round out your top 5.
So for my 5th pick, I'm going to do something I have done before.
Okay.
When we were growing up in like high school and college, like head injuries, like people were super serious about them. And if you were to say that you had a concussion, you can just get out of anything.
Yeah,
you can get out of like school, you can get out of like tests, you can get out of whatever.
Yeah.
And if you were just to say, oh, like I played contact sport, got concussions, like actual concussions a few times. And if you said I had a concussion, no questions asked, like you can get a medical like doctor's note.
Totally.
Saying that you can just sit in your room. You weren't supposed to watch TV, but you watched TV.
Yeah.
And it was great.
That's a good one. I've definitely used that before. It gets tricky as an adult because, of course, you're not supposed to be looking at screens.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have plans with someone, no better time to hang out than after you're concussed because there's nothing else you can be doing. You're not supposed to sleep. You're not supposed to look at screens.
Loud noises kind of suck.
Yeah, you just shouldn't be going out. Like, you shouldn't be drinking. But if you just have plans to hang out with someone or, like, go to dinner, like, you should be able to do that when you're concussed, unless you, like, should be in the hospital.
Yeah, it's fair.
A lot of yours are, like, honest versus mine are, like, excuses. Unless, are you saying you can use concussion when you don't have one?
Oh, that's 100% what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's like, no, I'm not saying, like, when you have... I'm just
really
saying...
risky.
There's no...
You're lying about your own health.
And?
You're like, aren't you the person that's like, the karma's going to get you?
So I'm going to get like hit by a bus when I cross the street?
Potentially.
Oh, that sucks. I have like many buses coming my way then, but.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've used that, so I get that.
Yeah.
You could also just say like headache. Like, you don't have to be so dramatic.
But I think there's much more of like a note, like if you were, and maybe it's just like the friends I have or like the shit I would give him. If I had a friend who was like, oh, I have a headache, I'm not going to go out. What the fuck do you mean?
What do you mean?
If you just have a headache, like drink water and I'll see you in an hour.
Well, you can say migraine.
Okay, migraine's a little bit more serious. But that's kind of along the concussion. Like no one's going to question you if you're like, oh, I have concussion. I would hope that your friends would say, stay in bed and stay in a dark room.
This is actually a problem I have with excuses. I think people sometimes exaggerate when it's not necessary. Where
True.
Like, okay,
Yes.
The most common excuse I think in the book is like, oh, I've had a horrible week or a horrible day, and so I just need to stay home. And when people send that text, it's never just like, oh, I had a really long day. I'm so sorry. I think I just need to like stay home tonight. It's always like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't text you back. I had the worst week known to man. I've like been through war and back. Like, it's crazy exaggeration when they could just say like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm tired tonight.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to jump to concussion instead of just saying like, oh, I have a headache or like my stomach's feeling weird, like I'm just not going out tonight?
Yeah. Diarrhea is another good one.
I've used food poisoning so much. Food poisoning is the OG sickness to use before COVID.
Like when you can put the threat back on the person who's making the plan, that's always the tables have turned.
Food poisoning is perfect because it can last for like 2 hours or 48 hours. Like, there's a very wide window.
True.
So you could like be able to bounce back fairly quickly if you had other plans that you wanted to go to. Mm-hmm. Versus like if you have the flu, it's probably going to be like a week. If you have a cold even, like people will be able to tell if you've been sniffling. Like food poisoning is the OG COVID, where it's just like no questions asked. No one's going to follow up. No one wants to hear about your food poisoning. Like it's perfect.
Yeah. That's another good one.
Yeah.
Anything with like bodily fluids.
Yeah, like period cramps.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I use that all the time.
For my fifth and final pick, I'm doing a completely different category.
Okay.
So I think a lot of ours today have been like how to get out of plans with your friends or like people you actually care about. Mm-hmm. But we've neglected to talk about getting out of plans with people you don't care about and that you are okay with never seeing again. And this is where you get to really have fun and have creative liberties. So let's say it's a first date. Let's say it's an acquaintance that you really don't care very much about and you just don't have interest in rescheduling the plans. Then it's time to get kooky. So for my number 5 pick, I'm going to go with, I'm so sorry. I have to bail on our plans because my horoscope told me that I should stay in tonight. It paints the picture that they probably shouldn't want to hang out with you in the future.
Yes.
It could be totally honest. You can find a horoscope for anything. So if they were like, oh my God, that's so funny, send me a screenshot, you could probably find a horoscope that's like, you need to recharge your batteries tonight. And then you're kind of off scot-free. They might not ever reach out again. So it has to be someone that you're willing to lose. But I think it's a really fun, funny, quirky excuse.
What if you see them again in like a big group?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden for the rest, like a house party. And then the rest of the night, you're just thinking in the back of your mind, like she's talking, or he is talking about how I'm the crazy horoscope lady who just bailed on a date.
How funny would it be though? Like, I see this as a win-win. Like, let's say that you set me up with a guy.
Okay.
And I wasn't super interested in him. So I used this excuse. Mm-hmm. And then let's say we were at a party all together and he went up to you and was like, yo, did I ever tell you what Delaney did? And you're like, what? And he's like, she bailed on our date because she said her horoscope told her that she shouldn't go on a date with me that night. Then you would die laughing.
I would. And I would pull you, I would grab him, grab you, and be like, A, that's hilarious. And B, she's lying to you. And I would just like end it right there.
Win, win, win. I guess what the last pick really is like how to lose a guy in 10 days. If you're not interested in a plan, you can really have so much fun with it and try to push the limits.
That is fair. If like, it's going to sound horrible, but if you actually don't care about the person,
yeah,
it is kind of fun just to be able like, oh, what about this? Oh, swerve, and then you do something else.
Okay, wait. So let's now do a little like improv of listing ways to get out of plans with someone you don't care about.
Okay.
Okay, so like you could say, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't tonight. I have to take care of my plants.
I like that. So one of mine, which is, it was going to be an honorable mention, but it falls in this category too, is I'm too drunk.
Yeah.
So,
what about like if you were going on a dinner date, you could say like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't go to dinner because I have a avocado that's about to go bad. So I need to use it tonight. I'm going to just start saying funny things to get out of plans because then people will think I'm cute and flirty and I won't have to take any responsibility.
See, I'm just a dick when I do that. So.
Or you can just start using all international days. Like, oh my God, I completely forgot it's National Ice Cream Day. I can't believe I tried to make a plan on this day.
And I'm lactose intolerant, so I need to stay home.
If you try to make plans with me anytime in the next year, like I might have to cancel because of my observation of a holiday, but that's on you for not knowing which holidays are coming up.
Yeah. Ignorant piece of shit.
Ignorance. Lovely.
Well, thank you, Delaney.
Thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully you guys have learned now how to lie in order to get out of plans. I know that getting out of plans is just one of the simple pleasures of life. So we're here to give you the tools to do that. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. I'll be giving you more tips on how to avoid the pains of life. Please leave a review and tell your friends about it if you think they would enjoy. So thank you so much, Chris, and I'll see you guys next week. I mean, that's debatable. Now that's debatable.